Welcome to Megabucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put megabucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hirschberger.
Hello and welcome to today's show. I am so honored to have the dynamic father and son all the way from Seattle, Bruce and Josh Hudson. Welcome, Bruce and Josh. Bruce and Josh, before we get them to jump in here, Bruce, am I saying it right, a master photographer? Is that the proper terminology?
Correct. Yeah, I have a degree of master photographer from the Professional Photographers of America. In the professional photography world, that's kind of a big deal. It takes a while to get that, but I actually received that back in 1990. So about 6 or 7 years after I started, I was able to acquire that degree. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal, and it's, of course, we use it in our marketing to build authority and credibility and all that kind of stuff.
And Josh is his son, who is not the professional master photographer, but is the brilliant marketer part of the father-son duo. It's really interesting. My father was a professional photographer. Bruce and I talked about this a number of years ago. That was back in the film days, and he had a Mamiya. And I'll never forget, he's gone now. He died about 6 years ago, but I'll never forget there was, and I can't tell you what it is, Bruce, you probably know, but there was one little button. And if that button somehow either got pulled out or pushed in, I can't even tell you which way, he would lose everything. And so he literally had that camera retrofitted so that button could not do something. But now everybody's a photographer. We all have phones in our hands, so we're all a photographer. So we're recording this radio show right during the pandemic. And it's the primary reason is to not only give hope for small businesses that we will get through it. There is opportunities, but we're going to be telling stories. So, to be honest, I'm looking here thinking photographer. People have to come in to your studio. You're probably closed down. And that's really, you guys have done some interesting things. So I don't know, Bruce or Josh, I don't know which ones want to start, but let's start talking.
All right. Well, my dad's actually printing off a list of 10 things that we just came up with. We're very blessed, I think, to, most people think, oh, yeah, you're a photographer, you've got a studio. We are in the state of Washington, which is on a draconian lockdown at the moment. So we actually are not supposed to be out and about doing anything. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to run a photography business when people can't come to you and you can't really go to them. And so once all this kind of started, my dad and I sat down and go, okay, obviously let's buckle down on expenses. Let's, cut where we can cut. But we also need to be mindful that this is not going to last forever, and we need to position ourselves to where we can be stronger when we come out of this. It's almost like going back to 2008, 2009, that same kind of mentality, although this is happening very quickly. So one thing that we did right away was, okay, what's something that we can do that is a retail product that we could sell virtually or online? And for us, one of our marketing strategies here at the studio the last 7-8 years has been photography classes. A long time ago, we identified our perfect client as, somebody who is enthusiastic about photography, sees it as art, and people that tend to see photography as art and enjoy it are more likely to invest in it. And so doing photo classes was a great way to get people into the studio for lead capture that we get paid for. It was a strategy that was actually featured in one of Bill Glacier's latest books on his outrageous marketing campaigns. So basically, we took that class, and within about a 2-week period, we were able to record it via Camtasia and PowerPoint. My dad went in, did some editing, and we used Kajabi to launch an online course that we're still selling right now today. And in fact, we actually just launched a Groupon here in the Seattle area, so that's we'll add some additional revenue from our online class that we can sell any time of day, pandemic, no pandemic. So that was one of the first strategies that we looked at, is what's something that we can build out as a retail product, and what is something that we can sell online.
That makes perfect sense.
And I'm just going to jump in, Nina, just for a second. And, Josh mentioned 2008, and our business that year was down 75% for that first year. The next 2 years, we were down 50%. And Josh had just kind of come into the business at that point, and I had been pretty, what would you say, lackluster or pretty complacent, especially with our website. I thought, I've been in business at that point for 25 years. I don't need all this or that because everybody knows me, and I'm a master photographer and all that kind of BS. And I thought that 2008 thing was going to go away pretty fast. And I'm a pretty optimistic person, so I'm looking at an optimistic view of the 2008. We're going to be out of this very quickly, and it never happened. So this time I'm a lot more prepared, and my mindset is I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to be Mr. Optimistic. I'm not going to wait. We're going to have to do this ourselves. We're going to have to mobilize and get very proactive very quickly. And having the photo class was the first thing that we came up with. And Josh actually gets all the credit for doing those photo classes. And as he mentioned, this was featured in Bill Glacier's book. And 8 years later, after we've been doing these classes, we've had over 4,000 registrations. That means 4,000 people have walked through my studio doors and seen the work on the walls. And now we're proud to say that half of the new customers or clients that we're attracting or we're getting at our studio have been participants in that photo class. So not only, like Josh said, has it been a good source of revenue, being paid to market to people, but it's also turned out to be a great lead magnet, if you want to call it that, for getting brand new clients to our studio.
So, so what you're saying is, like me, let's just say it's me. I want to learn a little bit more how to do photography. So I would have paid you to come to your studio. You would have sat there, I don't know how long the classes were, but whatever that length of time, 10 hours, I don't care, whatever it is, you're going to teach me how to take really great pictures, photography, correct?
Correct.
I have to bring my own camera probably, right?
Right, and it's a 4-hour class, and typically we'll have in the classroom, which is back in my studio, 25 to 30 students at a time. So, and
yet you're saying after that, I'm going to pay you again to take the pictures you just taught me how to do a better job of.
Yeah, pretty much that's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because, and I know we're talking about ways to, and it's kind of funny because we're going to be doing a Zoom call with probably a couple hundred photographers here in the next week or so. And the topic of the Zoom call is, survival or surthrival. And we're going to be talking about the same stuff we're talking about with you for more general small business, but, what you can do in your studio, what you can do in your business. And with the photo classes, one thing that people have to understand is authoritative marketing and like marketing through education, that's not just the future. That's just where we're at now. And with this whole COVID-19, Corona business, as my kids like to call it, they always say, "Dad, when's this Corona business going to be over?" I don't know. I want it to be done too. But, people are stuck at home. People are bored out of their minds. I've got kids who have school canceled for the rest of the year. And, and then our idiot state superintendent's talking about canceling it for next fall too, for whatever reason already. So there's an opportunity there for any person in any business with any skill set to come up with a class or a course, or, like my dad's going to be doing private photography lessons via Zoom call with people. People are looking for something to do. They're looking for something to learn. And I don't care if you're a roofer. I don't care if you're an orthodontist or a dentist. I've actually got a dentist client who, much like us, as soon as this kind of hit, she goes, "You know what? I've been wanting to add a virtual option for dentistry anyway. I'm going all in." And she took her SBA loan and invested it in all the equipment and everything she needed to do virtual dentistry. She is selling $5,000 Invisalign cases via Zoom right now.
You are kidding me. You mean I just look at my camera on my computer and I open up my mouth and she can. Are you kidding?
No, it's because what we're all doing is we're providing that education out there. Like, I mean, my wife's a realtor, so they're considered essential. She's got homes listed. She's using all the different protocols and taking people out to show them houses and stuff. And people still have to buy. People still have to sell. The world does have to go on for most of us, right? We're not all pandemic patties sitting in our homes, with the curtains drawn. Like, a lot of us actually have to get out there and do things, just in a different way now. And, she's using Zoom calls and virtual things to connect with all of her clients and, make it not, and she's like, I don't want to be salesy and I don't want to be, hey, do you know who wants to buy or sell? She's like, that's not my personality. So everybody knows her as a really great home chef, so she's actually going to be teaching a pasta making class online next week for all of her Facebook and Instagram followers. And I guarantee you someone that's going to be in that class is like, wow, this is amazing. Oh, by the way, my brother, is moving here from wherever and he needs to buy a house. I mean, that kind of business will come organically just from providing something fun to kill the boredom for people. And whether you want to charge for it or not, just get out there and create a virtual course or a class.
Okay, so I want to go back to the dentist orthodontist. Is she a dentist or is she an orthodontist?
So I've got two clients. One is an orthodontist. He's not really doing the virtual thing, but my other client who's a dentist, she's going all in on it. And, what she's doing is she's just following up with a lot of people that were interested in, Invisalign or crowns or whatever. And she's following up with a lot of them and scheduling these, it's called Doc See Me. It's kind of like a Zoom call, but for doctors. And she set up all the equipment, so it's HIPAA compliant and it's all secure and everything. And she's going to her office a couple days a week, and she's sitting there in her room, and she's scheduling calls, and she's selling Invisalign, and she's taking deposits on crowns. And, I mean, she's making money in this when all other dentists are closed down, because she was able to, really take my advice of why don't you do things virtually? I mean, there's maybe, how about 50% off Invisalign if you pay your deposit during the shutdown? I mean, there's so much opportunity out there to do things virtually now and generate cash flow.
So this is so fascinating. I've done 14 of these and nobody has done any kind of virtual for a dentist. I love it. So is it somebody who had already been into her practice, who she'd already done the analysis and all of the x-rays and whatever needed to be done, gave them the prescription, they walked out and they didn't book, and that's who she's calling back? Or are these brand new people?
Yep. Initially, she's going back through her list of people that came in and following up and scheduling calls. But my agency, H5 Creative, does her marketing for her. So we've actually developed a series of Facebook and Instagram ads that are actually out there targeting the demographics of people who are more likely to purchase Invisalign. I mean, we've got the whole profile down because we were doing ads before. But now it's just saying, hey, we're doing this we're doing it virtually, and there's actually cool technology where you can download an app and put it up to your mouth. It'll scan like your teeth, and it'll show you kind of what your smile would look like. And so there's a lot of things that they can do virtually. And basically her thing is, look, if I can take 20 deposits in a month, I can keep the doors open, keep all my employees, around, and I don't have to take government money and all that kind of stuff. So it's
well, then when it's all opened up again, she's already got her book of business. She's got it filled, the schedule.
Yep, and that's kind of the approach that we're taking too. I mean, changing gears from kind of the online course and a retail product that people can come up with. Here at our studio, our workflow is step one is an in-person consultation with my dad to talk about family portraits, to talk about senior portraits, to talk about weddings or even a commercial job. And it's something that we prefer to do in person at the studio, which once our state lockdown is done, we are going to go back to doing that, and we're just going to, maintain the 6 feet social distance, and well, I've already got all that stuff updated on the website that we're doing it anyway, but, scheduling Zoom consultations with new clients. My dad's actually coming up with the whole Facebook and Instagram campaign we're going to do to the parents of high school seniors, because the class of 2020, their whole life has been completely rocked. And I have a junior in high school, and I see what her older friends are going through. And, our whole thing is, the governors can cancel a lot of things, but they can't cancel senior portraits. And, we're going to schedule those consultations and get all these kids lined up. So as soon as we are able to get out there and work, we're going to have a full schedule. And, obviously we're going to take session fees in advance and generate cash flow now. But, that could be any business. If you're a roofer who's deemed not essential and you're sitting at home, go through your leads, follow up with people and say, hey, once this thing is over, I'm going to be super busy, so I'm going to give you a 25% discount if you pay a deposit now, and I'll get you to the top of the schedule, or an added value thing like, hey, if you pay a deposit and get on my schedule for this summer once all this is over, I'll pay to have your windows washed too for free as a thank you. It's just people just got to think outside the box right now, but you can do all this stuff virtually, via Zoom calls, even if you're, it doesn't even matter what business you're in.
I'm just sitting here I could figure your business. I could figure, when we're doing the senior pictures and all that. I just never thought about a dentist doing virtual Zoom calls for Invisible. That is brilliant. So awesome. Keep going. I'm listening. I love it.
Well, and okay, and I'm going to let my dad talk now. Is that okay? Let you talk?
Sure.
We actually, and this is very timely because we're actually right in the middle of it right now. But Dad, one thing that my dad does very well is he reads tons of business books, and he'll read a book, he'll highlight it, he'll type it up and send me a book report, because I've got 3 kids that I'm currently homeschooling, so I don't have time to read, unless it's a Harry Potter or whatever the kids are into. But he came up with this campaign that I think you read in a book or something, and it's an Invest It Forward campaign that we're literally right in the middle of, and we've had some great success this week. You want to talk about it?
I do, yeah. I can't remember where I first heard this, but you all remember the movie, Play It Forward, and there's been some things here in the Seattle area, especially with Starbucks, where people would be in line to get their coffee or their cappuccino or their espresso or whatever, and they would just go ahead and say, hey, I'm paying for the person behind me. So they would pay it forward. So that's been kind of a tradition here in Seattle. But what I was thinking with, what could we do right now to generate some income? And so what I came up with was the concept of Invest It Forward, where our clients or prospective clients would invest in a gift card or certificate now, and they would get a bonus based on the day that they bought it to use later. So that was, that made it a win-win. It's a win for us because we're getting cash flow right now. And it's a win for them because they get a bonus for investing right now that they can use later. And then we thought, let's bring in a third kind of win. And so in our area, we have a group of ladies called the Soup Ladies, and they've actually been featured on Mike Rowe's show. They were featured on the Today Show a couple weeks ago. And I've known the founder of this for many years. In fact, my wife at one time was a volunteer. And what the Soup Ladies do, they go out and they make food for the first responders. So in the case of up here in the Seattle area or in the mountains, maybe there was some kind of tragedy and the first responders are, out in the field for a day or 2 or 3 or a week. She would actually take her trailer up to where the first responders are and start making food for them. Nice, hot, delicious food, so they don't have to worry about eating. They could just, have her there. And so She's actually been featured on a lot of different shows, and she's been, she's traveled to Florida for hurricanes and Texas and all that kind of stuff. So we thought, why don't we have a portion of the proceeds go to the Soup Ladies? So that was our third win, and it's been a success. And like Josh said, we're right in the middle of it. We started on Monday. And on Monday and Tuesday, if you bought the certificate, you get a 40% bonus. So if you bought a $100 certificate, it was worth $140. If they bought a $1,000 certificate, it was worth $1,400. So that was for Monday and Tuesday. Today, yesterday and today, it's 25. And then on Friday and Saturday, it's going to be 15%.
Okay.
So, that's kind of how we set it up, and it's been very successful. We have raised, I would say, nearly $8,000.
Yeah,
and that was mainly, the first 2 days, obviously, because of people getting that 40% bonus. But that's something that gave us an instant influx of cash flow. I can write Josh a check today, which makes me feel really good. Makes him feel good. And, we're able to, help pay the rent and, those kind of things. And with our margins, and Nina, your dad being in the business, photographers have pretty good margins when it comes to cost of goods versus, what we sell it for. So,
sure.
So that's been working well. Invest it forward.
So let me summarize. What I'm hearing you guys so far talk about is figure out some way where you can go online and sell something online, whether it's Zoom or whatever. Try to figure out a retail product. So if you've been in the service business, like you guys, what retail product can you do? And now a special offer. That's what I'm calling this particular the tip that you're giving.
Yeah, pretty much. And one thing when I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and, restaurants nowadays, my gosh, we're shut down, but restaurants are, it's just, we've got a lot of friends that own restaurants. And for years, I've had clients in the restaurant world, and we've worked with a ton of restaurants doing commercial images for their website and marketing and everything. And we always would say, just for God's sakes, capture email addresses. You've got hundreds of people coming into your restaurants every day. Capture emails. And all of these restaurant owners go, well, it's too hard, the servers don't want to do it, and blah, blah, blah. It's amazing to me because we've got one of our friends, Chef Paul, who Keith and Travis, they're regulars at Paulo's Italian, just like we are, and we go there quite a bit. Paul, many, many years ago, took our advice, and he started collecting email addresses. And when this whole COVID thing hit and he was forced to shut down operations and go to just curbside pickup, he was able to change gears so quickly. And the guy, his server told me the other night when I picked up my to-go meal there, because we're going around and supporting restaurants, that they're busier on Friday nights now than they were before. And it's because every week he's emailing out like a special or a coupon or, oh my gosh, my supplier, I got this really good Cabernet in. So any order over $100, you get a free bottle of Cabernet. And he's doing happy hour where if you order between this time and this time on Tuesday, you get a free loaf of garlic bread. And just where other restaurants are floundering, trying to put stuff on Facebook, and it's just he's got a captive audience already of people, thousands of people that he's over the years. So my advice to entrepreneurs is, look, if you don't have a database, now's the time to start building one. Come up with something, even if you have to give something away for free, to just start capturing names, because if this ever happens again and you don't have an email list, this is a great reminder of why you should have been doing this a long time ago. So I think just focus on building your list right now, and that kind of stuff. And then my dad just wrote down next to me another thing when talking about kind of like retail products, and this is something that we don't really do a ton of, but we've kind of started doing more of it, is for us, we're going, okay, everybody's at home. everyone's doing their spring cleaning, they're cleaning out the garage, they're trying to keep themselves busy, they're probably coming across some old photographs. Well, we offer restorations at Hudson's. It's not something that we really push out there all that often, but right now, that's something that we could be doing for people where, they could swing by the studio. We've got a no-contact way that they can get us the prints. We've got a high-res scanner. We can scan them. I can, send those scans to our Photoshop goddess, Amy, who's working from home right now, and she can work on the restorations. And, there's just, and so that's another retail product. And framing as well. We've got a lot of clients reach out to us saying, okay, those beautiful portraits that you did a year ago, I never got around to getting them framed, but I've got time to do it now. And so, custom framing and stuff is something that we do. It's not something that we really push because, the margins aren't as good. But right now, it's kind of like, we'll do it. So, there's always stuff in everybody's business, maybe things that aren't as profitable, things that, I kind of do it, but I don't really, I don't really market it. There's these little hidden nuggets in your business that you could, start putting to the forefront, and it might get you through this. You never know.
Talking about lists, you are talking my language. I think of everything that's happened. I think about these small businesses, the fact that they didn't have a list. I have been talking lists for years. For instance, there was a catering company that came to our neighborhood several weeks ago. They had a grill out at a local area, and we all went. They served 500 meals. Now, once did they ask our name, email, address? Nothing.
Yeah.
All they did was cook it and hand it out.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we paid. It's just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know. And having it, and we've got a really good social media following. I've worked very hard on that for over a decade. So, we reach a lot of people just within our social media channels, but that email list is gold. And that is the reason why our online classes have been a success, because we've got a captive audience that we can email to. That is why our Invest It Forward, that is one of the only reasons why our Invest It Forward program was a success. And then just kind of one more piece of advice for entrepreneurs out there. And then things have been trending this way even before all this COVID stuff, but true marketing, like truly connecting your brand with customers, with clients, is all about transparency nowadays. It's, the big flash bang whiz, marketing stuff, to a lot of people out there, they tune it out. They roll their eyes. I know my wife, being in her industry, realtors are notorious for just being annoying and pouncing and just calling, texting, and and she does things so much different, and she's a very genuine person, and people tend to gravitate towards her. And some of the people on her team go, gosh, why do you get all these leads all the time? You must be asking for the business. And she's like, no, I'm just being a real human, and I'm helping people, and the business comes. But like for us, when we did this Invest It Forward thing, on day 2, we didn't really have a lot of sales on day 1, and I was kind of disappointed. And so day 2, I just took my phone and I actually opened up the cupboards in my kitchen because I wanted a higher camera angle because, I'm slightly overweight, so I've got a little bit of a double chin. So the higher camera angle hides that a little bit. That's a photo tip for all you people out there.
Yeah.
And so my kids, I've got 8-year-old twins, and they're in at the kitchen island, and they're doing their schoolwork because, I'm a busy dad of running 2 businesses, but also homeschooling now and trying to support my wife. We're both self-employed. It's not like we can just go to the unemployment line and get help from Mr. and Uncle Sam. We've got to figure all this out ourselves. So I'm stressed. We're busy. Half my clients on my agency side of things, like they're non-essential, so they're shut down. So it's just every day just trying to figure out how can I help them, and also how can I keep them as a client, because if they're not making money, it's kind of hard to pay the marketing guy, right? So all this stuff's swirling in my brain. I just turned on my phone and I hit play, and I just had a real conversation with our clients and said, look, we've been around 38 years. We want to continue to be around. If you feel like what we do matters, if you feel like, you're going to have a family portrait, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but eventually, or you've got a high school senior coming, now's a great time. We'd love your support. Plus, we want to give all this money to the soup ladies. They're doing the real work out there. And it was funny because my kids right on cue started acting up and being crazy, and we're kind of laughing. And it's like everyone can relate to that right now. All of us parents, we're stuck at home with our kids. We're trying to do our best. And once that video hit, surge in gift certificate sales online. It was pretty amazing, actually. So I really think just putting yourself out there, do a video, don't beg and make people feel guilty for not supporting you. I think sometimes people will go too far that direction and say, well, if you don't support my online boutique, you're going to, we're not going to be here and it's going to be your fault. I've seen a lot of that, and it's like, no, you can't do that. You just got to be genuine and give people a reason. And, and one other tip, you need to have somewhere for them to purchase the stuff online. If you're just saying, oh, give me a call and buy a gift certificate, you're not going to get any calls, because that's not in people's world. I get gift certificate sales at, 11:30 at night when people are on their laptops. So you need to make it easy. And there's free shopping carts out there like equind.com. There's a free shopping cart. You can set it up with PayPal. It'll take you 5 minutes. You can embed it on your website and you're ready to go. So,
why don't you spell that for somebody who spell that word? Equind?
Yeah, Equind. It's ECWID.com. It's a great online shopping cart. It's plug and play. You can add it to your website. If you've got a WordPress website, they've got a plug-in. It's pretty seamless. Or you can host just an online store separately from your website, and they give you the unique URL and everything. But and it's free. You can have up to like 12 products on there. I have it synced with our Stripe account and with PayPal, and also with Authorize.net for other merchant services that we have. And the amount of entrepreneurs and clients of mine that I've been like for years, like you need to have something. If you sell gift cards, if you sell gift certificates, if you want to do a invest it forward campaign, you have to make it easy for people. And it's all about online shopping, and it's amazing because I could put on there, hey, call and buy a gift certificate, and the phone doesn't ring, or I could say, click here and we sell 5. So just something to think about.
Yeah, no, great advice. So is there any of your other, going back to the dentist, or any of your other clients that are doing some interesting things?
Well, one thing that actually, like my wife's real estate team, they're doing it's called Eat Local Bingo, and they created a bingo board, like an online bingo board, with all the different locally owned restaurants in our community. And as you go through, and like if you get takeout at like the Mexican restaurant, snap a picture, post it online with the hashtag Eat Local Fairwood. And every time you do that, you'll be entered into a drawing where they're going to buy, a gift card from a local restaurant kind of thing. And that's been, and people really love it. They think it's really cool. I've got another client who's an orthodontist who's doing something similar, but it's kind of like a stay home. It's called like a stay home bingo, where, one of the bingo things is take a walk as a family, and another one is have a movie night, and another one is, watch a cooking show together and learn a new recipe. And basically as people knock those off, you take a picture and post it on his Facebook page, and you get 10 reward points with his little rewards program thing that he does. But if you fill out your whole bingo board, you'll be in the running for, I think he's giving away like 4 Seattle Mariners baseball tickets if they ever have a season again, or a $100 Amazon gift card, and he's orthodontist. He's totally shut down, but he understands, mainly because I told him, that you have to keep your people engaged. And like I said, people are looking for something fun. And so, that may not be making them money now, but it's keeping them top of mind. And there are a lot of businesses out there that I'm sure are listening to this that, maybe you're not in a position like a lot of other small businesses where cash flow is king. We do well at the studio here and managing cash flow and stuff like that, but when you're shut down for 2 months, it's really hard we're not a huge company, and but there's some businesses that can float 6 months without working, and if you're one of them, this is something you could be doing to stay top of mind and lead capture and build your list, and then for all of you out there that need that cash flow now, doing something with online engagement could be, I don't know, something kind of cool. Well, Dad, why don't you tell her about what we're doing with the city of Renton and the whole Renton Live thing?
Yeah, and that was something where I guess it was, what group is it called? It's through the economic development part of the city of Renton, and Renton is just kind of southeast of Seattle, and it's the 5th largest city in the state. And my business has been here for 38 years, and so I've been a big part of the chamber and Rotary and things like that. So we're pretty well known. But they had a marketing campaign a few years ago, and it was run by an agency. I think they were in Colorado, and so they decided they wanted to kind of update what they were doing, and so they put a bid out for us or for agencies. And as Josh mentioned at the beginning, we kind of developed what we call the Hudson Dream Team, where I do the photography. We have a young video producer who's just amazing, and so he's our video guy. Josh is doing all the social media. We have a friend of mine who's a composer who's done things in Hollywood for quite a while, and because my background is music. And we have a SEO guy, and we have a graphic designer person. So we put this team together, and we bid the job, and we made it into the top 2, which we're very excited about. And one thing that we did, and this goes back to our Kennedy training, and I think I saw it at some conference, but the way that we actually submitted the bid was, there's a supplier up here in the Seattle area. He sells all over the world, though, for photographers. And kind of the in thing now with photography is you have these matted prints, and you have these really nice, expensive boxes that you put the matted prints in. Well, he's got this one product where you open the lid of the box, and there's a video player built into it, and so a video starts playing. Well, if it's a wedding photographer, you have a wedding video playing of the couple. But in our case, what we did, we created a video, kind of a promotional video about us, and not really any voiceover on it. It was just kind of scenes of Renton, and we used drone footage, and it was what technique does Barrett call that, Josh?
I can't remember. It was just it was like an experience Renton, and so it was like my dad walking his dog down at the waterfront and the birds chirping, and then the steak hitting the grill at the Melrose Grill, which is top 100 steakhouses in the world, is there in Renton, and all that kind of stuff. But
the Seahawks headquarters right on Lake Washington, and the drone flying over the lake and then coming on. It was really well done. It was about 90 seconds. But what we did in the box, we put the actual binder in there with we had up to 20 pages we could submit. So we did that in a binder that kind of a high-end notebook that kind of matched the box. But we put a bunch of movie snacks in there as well. We also put my book in there that I wrote called The Relationographer. And I think, Nina, I might have gave you a copy a couple super conferences ago. But anyway, we put a bunch of movie snacks in there, and then we put a note saying, enjoy our proposal, or enjoy these movie snacks while you, go over our proposal. And so here's this video that, kept playing and things like that. And when they interviewed us as a finalist, that was the first thing that came out of their mouth. They go, we could not believe how creative you guys were with your proposal. And, of course, our comeback to that was, well, we're a creative agency. We wanted to show you that, what we do is very creative and we do think outside the box. And so we just blew them away with that presentation.
Yeah. And actually what I wanted you to talk about, Dad, is the whole Renton Live show that we're about to launch.
Well, that's kind of spinning off of it.
Yeah, I know. So part of our proposal is we do podcast production out of the studio. It's another little product that we've come up with to help, entrepreneurs and stuff. And so we thought about, hey, we'll do like a podcast for Renton and, what's going on here. It's a very up and coming city just south of Seattle. Well, obviously now that all this stuff is hit, a lot of that stuff's on hold, but we decided to go ahead with that anyway and just do it kind of for free, just to help out Renton businesses and just give something positive for people to watch. And so we are partnering with the local Chamber of Commerce and a lot of other kind of influencers in the community that we know, and we're going to do it's almost going to be like a talk show, like a variety show, but it's all going to be via Zoom. And the first episode is launching next week. We just came up with this idea this week, and we're already launching it next week. But we're going to have the mayor, who's our good buddy Armando. He's going to come on and talk about what the city's doing and answer questions from people. And then we're going to have Rick, who owns Vino at the Landing, which is a very popular wine bar. He's going to come on and talk about different wines to try and how they're doing virtual tastings right now. They're doing virtual tastings for their wine club members, which I'm a club member, and it's really cool because we can't actually be there to taste it, but we're going to get the bottles, sent to us, and so he's tasting them and telling us about it and getting us excited for this month's shipment or whatever. And then we're going to have my dad on there doing a photo tip and what you can do around your house to create a reflector or whatever. And then Benicio Bryant, who was on was America's Got Talent. I think he was one of the runner-ups. His dad owns a catering company in Renton, and so Benicio is going to do a little mini concert for us via Zoom for the community. And it's just stuff like that right now where, yeah, it's not going to make us money right now, but it's going to put us out there as a leader and somebody who's giving back. And, A, it's the right thing to do, and B, that kind of stuff is going to be gold when all this is over with. So people really need to keep that in mind. And sorry, that was like the 20-minute answer to the 2-minute question.
Well, that's amazing. In fact, is there a website that somebody, if they're listening to this, can go and even see that idea?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
but literally
the brand and the logo is being created right now as we speak. In fact, I'm going to go and give my graphic designer some direction right after this if she lets me in her house, because she's kind of on apocalypse mode right now. But I told her I'd bring her a bottle of wine. So she's
Apocalypse Amy.
Apocalypse, yeah.
We used to call her Awesome Amy. Now she's Apocalypse Amy.
Yeah, I would probably have a hard time even saying the word. So.
Yeah, so it's kind of built after, I forget the name of the comedian, but he's got a show on YouTube, and it's all about good news. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, not only with our own, the people in our community, but also with these upcoming webinars with professional photographers, because, as most photographers are not marketing people. They're
right.
Artists, or as my son calls me, a flaky artist. But so we're trying to give them some hope that, hey, there are things you can do out there. At this point, we're not going to be charging anything for our information, and, give them copies of what the Invest It Forward promotion looks like, and they can steal it, or what's the swipe and deploy is what Kennedy people would call it, right? But
that's right.
I think people are really in need of that. I mean, I'm online now watching, a couple webinars, usually a day. Keith and Travis's was on right before we came down to the studio here to be on this. And I think Ed Rush's is right after this. So, people are hungry for that.
Yeah, they're looking for it. Well, I am looking at the clock, and we are out of time. But I am telling you, Bruce and Josh, this was amazing. You guys just over-delivered, gave more. I just wrote and wrote and wrote. So I'm thrilled and thankful that you took the time to do this.
No, our pleasure. Thank you, Nina.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. We appreciate it, and probably see you here in the next live Kennedy event or No BS event coming up, whenever that might be.
Whenever, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, this is Nina Hirschberger, and the message today is get online and create a retail operation, do some sort of special offer, and give back.
Thank you for listening to Megabucks Radio with Nina Hirschberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit megabucksradio.com.